Hello, it's Denise with Heartside Tarot, and today I wanted to take a look at the Heart Path Oracle cards and do a bit of a walkthrough, tell you what my thoughts about the deck, and do a bit of a comparison too between the first and the second editions. So the first edition here I purchased on Amazon. It just kind of popped up when I was looking, and I bought this in July of 2019, so I've had it for a while, and I've used it off and on the whole time. I have also been using it extensively over the last month for readings for both myself and for other people. And I really enjoyed using this deck. I find the messages to be really spot on. I do have to refer to the book each time, but it's just been really, really wonderful to read with. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it today. Now, this is the edition that I had, and I didn't, until recently, know that there was a second edition when somebody commented, and I forget who, on one of my videos. At the moment, I can't recall who it was, but they were asking about if there was a new version, and I looked it up, and indeed there is a second. This is called the second edition expanded. Now, this was independently published by the Third Eye Studio, which is the name of Nadine Gordon-Taylor's, I believe, the name of her studio as well as the name of her website. This newer second edition is published by Bear and Company, and so most of my experience with this deck is going to be from working with the first edition, but I will be walking through this one because I believe this is the one that's mostly available right now, is the second edition. So a couple of major differences in the two editions is obviously the size of the box. This just came in like a little two-piece hard-sided box, and it had a smaller guidebook, which is still a really lovely guidebook. Still had color photos. Just the font was small. And then this one comes in a really nice hard box with the magnetic flap closure. And it really is the perfect size for the cards. They fit in there really, really well. And so I'm probably going to be keeping this box for storage for this deck. Let me move this around a bit. So the books definitely have have a little bit difference in size, quite a bit actually. But from what I've been able to tell, reading through the information in here, it looks to be about the same amount of information, just different, like a different font size, and there might be a little bit more information in the cards in here, but I've only read through a couple and they seem to be very, very similar. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot more information, but there are more cards, and that's one of the main reasons that I picked up the newer edition. Is this edition has 53 cards and the first edition has 44. So I definitely, because I love this deck so much, I definitely wanted the nine new cards. So other than that, the book seems to be very similar, except this one is definitely easier to read. The cards themselves have a little bit different back, and the newer version is a little bit more, it feels a little bit more like matte finish, whereas this one's a little bit shinier. However, cardstock wise, this feels a little bit flimsier. It feels more like cardboard, papery. It doesn't feel as durable as like this particular version. So that is kind of one thing I don't particularly like about this edition is the cardstock. But the size is also quite a bit bigger. And then compared to like a regular tarot card, you can kind of see there's, the oracle cards are usually a bit bigger in my experience. So this wasn't too big, but this particular one means that these cards, the newer edition, is quite a bit bigger than a standard card, quite a bit bigger than my some other oracle cards I have. So it's a very large size card, like like it's about as big as my hand, if you can see that. So it's quite a large quite a large card. So other than that, the images are all the same, except there are newer cards in the second edition. The borders themselves have changed color in most all the cards, even if it's just maybe a shade or two difference in the original color. And then the bottom here, the newer edition has changed the color and the type of font in between, like the title and then kind of a description. For example, oh, and also the first edition had kind of a little bit of a line there separating the title from the artwork. And so this one says, acknowledging your uniqueness, and then in a bit smaller size font, it says, embrace what makes you different. But the color is the same, and the font style looks to be the same. So in the newer deck, they have the same titles, just separating them out a little bit more, which I actually really like. So that it makes it easier to say that, okay, the title is acknowledging your uniqueness, but kind of the meaning of it is embrace what makes you different. And so other than that, the cards are pretty much the same. So I'm going to put the older edition away for a bit, if I can find a place. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of go through these a little bit. Now, when mine came in, I don't know if you can see that, but they were kind of warped. So I've been putting them under some books. They still have, like, when I try to set them down, I can push the middle down and they kind of pop back up. So they're kind of warped a little bit this way. And so I've been setting them under some heavy books, and that seems to have improved things a bit, but yeah, I still struggle a little bit with that. So the cards themselves, I love the artwork. Some of them are like a horizontal orientation, and the others vertical, and some pictures are smaller than others, so it's kind of a little bit mixed, but I don't know, I really like that kind of difference and quirkiness in this deck. I love just it's kind of out there, the artwork, and it has a lot of really interesting imagery that I really, really like. Let me see if I can do this a little bit faster. This is from the cover, Balancing Polarities. This one was one of the first ones I pulled from this deck, and I mean, it is just so different. I just really, really like the imagery, and the messages in the guidebook are really nice. And they are arranged in the guidebook alphabetically, so it makes it pretty easy to find the cards. Enlightened Leadership. It's just a lot of these cards, they're very animal. It's very animal and plant-based. So there are some human figures in the cards, but most of them have an animal or a plant base in there. And the guidebook does go over like what you're looking at. Excuse me. So, for example, here you have some human figures, but each one does have a circle with an animal in it on the torso. And so the guidebook will kind of go over what the image is, what it symbolizes, a bit about that, and give a message. This is one of my favorite images, Journey to the Miraculous. Oh, that one's so cute. And so you can see this incorporates like animal imagery, but also some like modern imagery. You have kind of also some space behind there. So I'm going to set this one to the side because I want to look that one up in the guidebook in a little bit. This one again, it has like some large buildings, some skyscrapers, and then some natural imagery. So it kind of combines the two. This is just, the artwork is so different from the other artwork that I have in my collection, even though I have quite a few decks, that this has just become one of my favorites. And I have used it for myself. When I first got this deck, I used these as altar cards, which I think with the large size of the second edition, they would be really good altar cards, where I would pull one every week and set it up on my altar, something to kind of focus on. You can use it as a meditation focus. Look, there's a lot of like eyes. Maybe not a lot, but I've seen several that I can think of that are incorporated into the artwork. Oh, there's a lot of them facing. There's another eye. This one I pulled out the other day, and it's just, there's so much to unpack in each of the images. So much going on that it makes for a really good reading. And then the title of the piece doesn't really tell me much as far as the meaning, but the little like keywords or a little line underneath kind of helps give an intuitive meaning if you wanted to do that. But for me, I always like looking at the guidebook with this deck. Even though I've used it for a while, I'm still not familiar enough to remember all the symbolism. So another eye. Okay, and so now I have set aside these are the 9 cards that are new in this edition. So we have the Place of Knowledge and Unconditional Love, Mindfulness, the Key to Success, Imagination Creates Reality, the Holy Grail, Hang On. This is my favorite of the newer cards. I love that. And it took me a while to even realize that these were worms forming the edges of this star. And it's just something about it. It really speaks to me. It's a good card for 2020. Hang On. The Ever-Evolving Mystery, Commanding Performance, and Calculating Karma. This one's a really interesting one too. I like all the artwork though, so I love all the new cards. So for shuffling, I found for this edition specifically that shuffling from the side seems to be the easiest for me. And then just kind of pushing them together. Because they are so large, it's difficult for me to hold them very well, but this seems to work out pretty well. They're still, because they're thinner, they're easy to still riffle shuffle. So that seems to work fine for shuffling. But the cards, like you can see, especially on this first one, it just keeps coming up just because they still need to be pressed out a little bit more, I think. So just to kind of peek in the guidebook, this little one here, Journey to the Miraculous. I love that one. I look at it all the time. I've never actually pulled that one. So I want to look through the new guidebook. Okay, here we go. So it tells you, the first section generally tells you a little bit about the imagery that's in the deck. So here we have the title is Journey to the Miraculous, and then the line underneath reads, New Opportunities Await You. It tells you that the card you have selected is set in an airport lobby. In the background are revolving doors that lead us in and out of the picture. On the left is an Australian possum holding a mirror, and on the right, a badger's head serves as a platform for an inquisitive kitten. The mirror reflects a blue rose and a cloud-filled sky. Walking around the rim of the mirror are 12 ladybugs, and on its handle are 3 ants. And then it tells a little bit more about it. And then it has the message. So in the message, it generally kind of explains what the elements of the artwork mean. So for example, the sensitive possum is looking right at you, vying for your attention. It wants you to notice that regardless of what has happened in the past, things may actually be better than they seem. Your talents will be noticed by others, some in positions of authority. The blue rose lets you know that miracles are happening, but miracles are not an event. They are a state of mind. And then goes through the badger symbolism, what the cat means, that kind of a thing. I won't sit here and make you listen to it all, but it's a really nice message. It ends with, you are here on earth at this moment to help bring loving change. Step into the revolving doors and exit into a world of new possibilities, love, and feeling a part of something wonderful. Your dreams are awaiting you. And then at the end of each card, it has an affirmation with a little element from the artwork here. And this is the blue rose. And the affirmation is, I am always in the right place at the right time. So that's just part of what I love about this deck, is the message and the affirmation. The affirmation is a really fun thing to use if you use it as a weekly draw, like an altar card or a weekly message card. And then it also can be fun to share those affirmations with people that you're doing readings for. It kind of gives you like an action step and it's always like a very positive thing. So even though I wouldn't call this an overly like everything's, loving and positive deck, it is Miraculous Messages of Love. It's the Heart Path Oracle cards, Miraculous Messages of Love. So it's very like reassuring. It's very uplifting deck, and it's been really wonderful to work with. So I love that one. So that is the Heart Path Oracle cards by Nadine Gordon-Taylor, and this is the second edition expanded, available on Amazon, 53 card deck and guidebook. So this one has just been really a joy to work with, and so I wanted to share it on my channel, and I hope that you're having a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Okay, bye.